Welcome back to Mad Hatter's Civil War history. When the American Civil War erupted in the spring of 1861, Alabama answered the call with speed and intensity. Among the earliest and most enduring of its fighting units was the 5th Alabama Infantry, often informally referred to in early records as a battalion during its initial organization, but formally mustered as a regiment in the Confederate States Army. This unit would go on to earn a reputation as one of the hard-fighting regiments of the Army of Northern Virginia, remaining in continuous service from the war's opening year all the way to Appomattox. The men who became the 5th Alabama Infantry were drawn largely from central and eastern Alabama, particularly from counties such as Barber, Russell, Macon, and Pike. Most were farmers, laborers, clerks, and small landowners, young men shaped by a rural agricultural society that valued independence, marksmanship, and local loyalty. The regiment was formally organized in Montgomery in the summer of 1861, after Alabama's secession from the Union earlier that year. Like many Confederate units, the 5th Alabama began with a strong sense of state and community identity. Companies were raised locally, and officers were often elected by the men themselves. In the months leading up to the war, these volunteers had little formal military training, but they were not entirely unprepared. Many had participated in pre-war militia activities and drill societies, and most were already familiar with firearms through hunting and the frontier life. Training in 1861 was rudimentary by modern standards: long hours of drill, basic instruction on formations, and harsh lessons in discipline. But it was enough to turn raw recruits into soldiers. By the fall of that year, the 5th Alabama was sent east to Virginia, where it would spend nearly the entire war fighting in the Eastern Theater. The regiment was assigned to Brigadier General Robert E. Rhodes' brigade, alongside other Alabama units, and became part of Major General Thomas Stonewall Jackson's command. This association would define the regiment's combat experience. The 5th Alabama saw its first major action during the Valley Campaign of 1862, where Jackson's small, fast-moving army repeatedly struck larger Union forces. Marching hard, often hungry and exhausted, the men learned quickly what war truly meant: confusion, fear, and sudden violence. They fought at Front Royal, Winchester, and Port Republic, helping Jackson drive Union armies out of the Shenandoah Valley and earning a reputation for toughness under fire. During the Shenandoah Valley Campaign of 1862, the 5th Alabama was attached to Jackson's command. Their role was not flashy or independent, but critical. They were repeatedly used as line infantry, expecting to march hard, deploy quickly, and hold or press the line while Jackson maneuvered elsewhere. At Front Royal on May 23, 1862, Jackson struck the isolated Union garrison guarding the Manassas Gap Railroad, a vital supply line for Union General Nathaniel Banks. Rhodes' brigade, which included the 5th Alabama, advanced as part of the Confederate infantry force, driving directly into and through the town after the initial surprise attack succeeded. The Union defenders were forced into a fighting withdrawal northward, abandoning Front Royal and suffering heavy captures. While no single regiment's movements are individually detailed in surviving after-action summaries, the 5th Alabama's participation as part of Rhodes' brigade placed it squarely in the main infantry advance that overwhelmed the Union position, contributing to the collapse of Banks' defensive line in the lower valley. 2 days later, at the First Battle of Winchester, Jackson followed up his success by attacking Banks' main force. Rhodes' brigade again took part in the advance that pressed the Union line south of the town. The fighting was intense and confusing, with Confederate infantry advancing over open ground against prepared positions. The attack eventually forced Banks to retreat northward through Winchester and out of the valley entirely. The 5th Alabama, still relatively fresh at this point in the war, helped maintain pressure during the advance and subsequent pursuit, reinforcing Jackson's reputation for relentless aggression and rapid follow-through after victory. The culminating fight of the campaign came at Port Republic on June 9, 1862, following the engagement at Cross Keys the previous day. Here, Jackson turned against Union forces advancing from the east. Ewell's division, including Rhodes' brigade in the 5th Alabama, was brought forward to support the Confederate assault. The battle was the costliest of Jackson's Valley campaign, marked by hard-fight infantry actions under heavy artillery fire. The Confederate line was pinned down at times and suffered significant losses before eventually breaking the Union position. Although individual regimental actions are not always separated in the official accounts, the 5th Alabama's presence in Rhodes' brigade placed it in the middle battle line during this decisive phase of the fight, enduring sustained fire and what was one of the bloodiest engagements the regiment had yet experienced. Taken together, these three battles show why the 5th Alabama emerged from the Valley Campaign with a hardened reputation. In the span of just over 2 weeks, the regiment had marched hundreds of miles, fought in multiple engagements, and helped drive a Union army completely out of the Shenandoah Valley. While they were not yet subject to the catastrophic losses that would come later at Seven Pines, Chancellorsville, and Gettysburg, the Valley Campaign forged the 5th Alabama into a reliable, aggressive line regiment, trusted by its commanders to move quickly and hold under pressure, qualities that would define its service for the rest of the war. That summer, the regiment moved with Jackson to the outskirts of Richmond and then north again for the Second Battle of Manassas. There, the 5th Alabama was heavily engaged in some of the fiercest fighting of the battle, attacking entrenched Union positions and sustaining significant casualties. Only weeks later, they crossed into Maryland for the Antietam campaign. At Antietam, the regiment fought in the brutal fighting near the West Woods, where Confederate lines bent but did not break. Losses were severe, and by the end of the day, many companies were reduced to a fraction of their original strength. Despite these losses, the 5th Alabama continued to fight through Fredericksburg and then into the spring of 1863 at Chancellorsville, where Jackson's famous flank attack crushed the Union 11th Corps. The regiment was deeply involved in that attack, advancing through dense wilderness and contributing to one of the most dramatic Confederate victories of the war. It was also during this campaign that the men felt the shock of Jackson's mortal wounding, an event that deeply affected morale across the army. Just weeks later came the regiment's most famous and costly battle, Gettysburg. On July 1, 1863, the 5th Alabama advanced north of town as part of Rhodes' division. During the fighting near Oak Hill, they attacked strong Union positions under intense artillery and rifle fire. The assaults were determined but costly, and the regiment suffered heavy casualties and killed, wounded, and captured. By the time the Confederate army withdrew from Pennsylvania, the 5th Alabama was badly reduced, its ranks thinned by 2 years of near constant combat. After Gettysburg, the regiment returned to Virginia and fought through the long, grinding campaigns of the war's final phase. They were engaged at Spotsylvania, Cold Harbor, and throughout the Overland Campaign, then endured the trenches around Petersburg, where disease and desertion claimed almost as many men as the Union bullets. Morale was low amongst the citizens of Alabama, as evidenced by this letter written on June 8, 1864, by Captain John White of the 5th Alabama to his wife Mary Jane Finley. White had just been exchanged from the prison camp on Johnson Island after nearly a year in captivity. Captain White writes, Yours of the 8th May was received by last mail. It is the first that has reached me since the 1st of April. You seem in low spirits. This must not be true, my love. It does much harm and no good. Though we have suffered, and now suffered much yet, things may have been much worse. Let us look on the bright side, always trusting in God and hoping for happiness in future. Misfortune is not hard to bear when we once make up our minds to it. A cheerful spirit deprives us of half its sting. I speak thus because I grieve to see you unhappy. The rudimentary attempt by Captain White to lift his wife's spirits shows a fading but still present hope that the South can stay the course and persevere. By 1865, the regiment that had marched so proudly in 1861 was a shadow of its former self. When the Army of Northern Virginia surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse, only a small number of men from the 5th Alabama remained to stack their arms. Several notable figures passed through the ranks of the regiment. Colonel Othello F. Straw, one of its early commanders, later rose to brigade command and was killed during Pickett's charge at Gettysburg while leading the Virginians. His leadership and sacrifice were remembered long after the war. Like most Confederate units, the 5th Alabama was not defined by one famous individual, but by the collective endurance of ordinary soldiers who fought, suffered, and survived together. The story of the 5th Alabama Infantry is ultimately the story of the Confederate infantrymen in the Eastern Theater. Rapid mobilization, harsh training, relentless campaigning, and staggering losses. What historians mean when they describe the losses of the 5th Alabama as staggering becomes clear when the numbers are laid out. Over the course of the war, the regiment mustered approximately 1,719 men through original enlistments and later replacements. Of those, nearly 300 were killed outright in battle, and another 240 died of disease, meaning that roughly 1 out of every 3 men who ever served in the regiment never came home. Hundreds more were wounded, many multiple times, and over 500 were discharged, transferred, or rendered unfit for service by injury or illness. From the valleys of Virginia to the fields of Gettysburg and the trenches of Petersburg, the regiment marched through nearly every major chapter of the war in the East, leaving behind a legacy that is still studied by historians today. Thanks for watching this episode of Mad Hatter's Civil War History. Like, follow, and click the bell for notifications to ensure you see all of the latest content. As always, let me know if there's any other important events of the American Civil War you would like me to address.